Hey guys, Matt here. As you probably hear, I'm quite sick. Finally got corona after 3 years of avoiding it. So yeah, I'm just sitting in my living room, feeling sorry for myself. Yeah, I got about a week ago. So anyway, I'm just somebody on my one of my videos. So yeah, people apparently actually watch some of them, which is hilarious. So he asked me about tactics and yeah, because I'm just sitting here, I thought I would talk a bit about tactics. So this is the video he said, he posted, hey, you could talk about tactics. So yeah, I'll talk about tactics about this video. So a couple things about tactics. So basically, there's sort of two principles I live by on tactics. Is first one is they're overrated. So what I mean by that is if you've got good legs and bad tactics, good legs can overcome bad tactics, but if you've got bad legs and good tactics, good luck, right? Like, you don't have the legs, you don't have the legs. So you got to have the legs. So, in any race, you've got to be, up for it, right? If there's a hill in there, you've got to be able to climb with the best climbers. And if you can't, then yeah, there are tactics you can employ, but ultimately, when it's mano a mano, you've got to, at a minimum, have the legs to be able to execute some tactics. Okay, so that's principle one. Second principle that I sort of live by, and I got this many years ago from a guy who used to be one of my teammates. He was two-time Canadian national pursuit champion on the track. Went to the Commonwealth Games and did pretty well for himself considering he didn't have a ton of natural talents. And I definitely identify with that because I never had a ton of natural talents. I always had to work very hard for whatever I could get out of road racing. Anyway, what he said to me is there's two types of bike racers. There's the predators and there's the prey. Which type are you? Now, yeah, that's pretty Jedi mind tricky stuff, but if you think it through, it's pretty intellectually appealing, right? So, and you can see that in right now because I am going on the attack, right? And why am I going on the attack? Well, because predator prey, right? If you are going to put in an effort, which is psychologically superior? You attacking and killing yourself and looking and putting other people under pressure, or someone else attacking you, putting in the exact same effort, but psychologically they're putting you under pressure, right? So the physically the effort's the same, psychologically those two things are quite different. So I think it's quite important to try and become a predator versus a prey and try and understand how that applies to bike racing, right? So, being aggressive, being positive in your racing as opposed to being reactive. This will get you far, right? And that's not really tactical, it's more strategic, a framework, an approach, right? Being aggressive, putting other guys under pressure, making them question their own legs, and you making them think, oh, well, this guy, there's this thing that we used to talk about where if you are well trained, people start to say, oh, well, you're so talented, right? People always want to push off your efforts to talents because that's an easy way for them to excuse themselves, right? Oh, he's so talented. There are very many talented people in the world, but you can get very far with hard work and training, that's for sure, especially at an amateur level. The differences in talent only really show at elite level, right? Because, think about it, elite level, everybody's talented and everybody's well trained, right? So, anyway. Back to the race. So, yeah, I haven't really talked about the taxis so much. So, anyway, if you could see right there, I attacked before the hill. Now, why did I do that? Well, because we've got the best Swifter in the world in this race, and I know he's gonna raid us, right? He's gonna roll us, which he did. So what I was trying to do was get ahead of that, right? I was trying to get up the hill ahead of him so that when he attacks, if I could get, say 3/4 of the way up the hill, I could respond to that last quarter of his move rather than the whole move, which is no way. As it turned out, I only got a quarter way up the hill. He lit it up, and look at him. I mean, he's doing 9 watts a kilo. I mean, come on. So, yeah, there's only a few guys in the world that can do that. And apparently he's one of them. So, yeah, enough said on that. But anyway, so tactically, I think I did the right thing. I tried to get ahead of the move. And that's, so tactics is always about recognizing your strengths and trying to minimize your limitations, right? So I'm going up against one of the best punchers on Zwift. Well, I can't race against him mano a mano. So how do I race against that? Well, I try and get ahead of it, right? So tactically, that was the right move. In practice, it didn't come off, but that's fine. That's fine. I mean, tactics are not always going to work, but there are optimal tactics, and this was the optimal tactics given, where we were in the race. Okay, so let me back up a little bit and say, okay, well, I'm in this breakaway, and there's basically 2 teams. There's Relentless has 3 guys, one of whom is off the front, Jacob, and KRT has 3 guys, and they're in this group with me. So really, who should be chasing? Well, KRT should be chasing. And are they? Well, one of them is, Robinson's chasing. The other 2 guys aren't doing a lot. So I can either, play the, the textbook rules of cycling, bicycle racing 101 here and say, well, it's not up to me to chase. Sure, but we're not going to bring Jacob back, right? So I'm going to contribute to this chase. The other thing I should say about this too is, if you were watching this video, Jacob, at the top of the hill, we had him within 3 seconds, and now he's up to 21 seconds, right? So we didn't finish the job. And, that's another, if we're talking about tactics, KRT only had to put in a small effort to close that 3-second gap instead of this, this long drawn out affair that we're now facing ourselves with, where we got to close, a 20-second gap. So tactically, yeah, I contributed to that, but I was a bit, blowing over the top there of the hill because, I had attacked before the hill. And so here I am saying, hey guys, pull. And the only guy who really is pulling is Robin. And this is dangerous because if we had done it 3 seconds, those guys wouldn't be nearly as tired as they're going to be, because we still got 2 Relentless guys in here, and now everybody's open to counterattacks once we do catch Jacob. So yeah, that 3 seconds, they should have done what it took to close that down, because now we're having to put in a big chase. Anyway, we got the sort of, the Zwift blob dynamics in our favor on a downhill. So we're going a lot faster than Jacob, and that's one of the really unfortunate things about Zwift that I really don't like. It's not fair. Jacob's put in a big effort. In real life, we wouldn't be closing the gap anywhere nearly as quickly as we are on this downhill, right? It's Zwift dynamics, and it basically sucks, right? It's stupid. It's unnecessary. They could fix this. But what do they say? Hate the game, not the player, or whatever. So yeah, I mean, this is the game. So, I'm playing to the advantages of the physics of the game. I know we're going to bring him back. So we're about to bring him back, and so now my tactics switch because it's 3 versus 1. I'm the only independent guy in here. Um, I refused to join a Swift team. From I don't even remember why. For mostly stubborn reasons. I kind of think Swift teams are dumb, right? You're playing a little video game. Teams, yeah. But that's my opinion, and other people obviously disagree, and that's fine. That's fine. But the tactics do vary because now I have to watch 2 teams, and so ideally I'm trying to play them off each other, right? My goal is for KRT and Relentless to neutralize each other, and I take advantage of that. So I either go into moves with those guys or I counter their moves, right? So right here, I'm just putting in my last sort of effort to see if we can maybe pull back Lyson, and the answer is no. He's still going to cruise at his 5.5, $6 a kilo. Pro Swift cyclist that he is. So we're racing for second. Okay, so I'm just in the, okay, let's get the heart rate down and let's mark moves. Like I said, when there's this team dynamic here, I could go on the attack, and I did have good legs here, so, that's an option. The problem is I'm going to get countered, and because I am solo, the odds of me being able to counter the counter is lower. So really I have to play a more defensive role, even though, I was talking earlier about predator and prey. I'm still going to be a predator, but I'm a predator who's opportunistic, right? You still have to be situationally aware. Me just relentlessly attacking here, the only way that works is if I'm way stronger than the other guys in this group, and I'm not. So yeah, I have to be cognizant of who I'm racing against and what I'm trying to do here. So here, Robinson puts in a move, and oops, his teammate counters that. That's not great. So here I'm waiting for one of the Relentless guys to go, and of course they go right away. Jacob goes, I go with that. He's got a strong sprint, so I have to go pretty high power to get on his wheel. Now here's the mistake these guys make. His teammate counters this. This is bad tactics. You don't do that. You don't chase it. The classic don't chase a teammate. And all he's done is he's brought the other guys across where he needs to, his teammate needs to think about this. Jacob, Robin, and me, Jacob wins that sprint, right? But he's chased his teammate, and, I just don't even know why he's done that. He just don't do it, because now Jacob's effort has been for naught, and now he's open to counterattacks, right? Which is exactly what happens. So Robin puts in an effort, right? So he goes, and it's classic tactics, and he did the exact right thing. And so it's come back together, and so I'm like, okay, well, can I do a little stealth move here? So I put in another little dig just to see if everybody still has legs, because we just gone through a series of attacks, and sometimes they'll let me. Sometimes you can roll off the front, but no, Jacob's onto that, so that's fine. So now I'm waiting for another counter, seeing who goes. And really at this point, PP should go, the other Relentless guy. But actually Robin goes again, which is great. I'm not going to chase this. Robin's a good friend of mine. And it's not up to me to chase. There's 2 Relentless guys in here. And I expect them to chase. I mean, why would they not? Robin is not putting in a huge effort, 5 watts a kilo. He's right there. And these guys, they sit up. Tactically, this is not up to Jacob to chase. Jacob was off the front for 10 kilometers. It's up to his teammate to chase, PP. And I have no idea why PP did not go with that move. Either he couldn't or he just blew it. But the obligation was totally on him to chase. It's not on me. Paul is obviously not going to chase. That's Robin, his teammate. And Jacob had put in that pretty big move and was probably, either expecting PB to go or tired or just, just missed the move, right? Or whatever. But it's definitely not up to me to chase, and I'm not going to chase. Robin's a good friend of mine, and if he wants to roll off the front, I'm going to let him. So now I'm just waiting to see if they actually do something. I mean, I know Jacob is a very aggressive and punchy rider, so I'm going to see if he's going to try and bridge to Robin. It's getting a bit late, but there he goes, and I immediately I was almost a bit too quick because he saw my reaction, so he sat up. But he's going to go again, which is fine. Kind of expected that. And he does this sort of double attack, which I think is pretty impressive. But luckily I'm on his wheel, so that's fine. Everybody comes back together. But Robin is just still chugging away at the front, and he's not coming back, right? So we're now racing for third. So tactically, did I do anything wrong in this race? No, I don't think so. I tried to anticipate Lyson. Tactically, I think that was the right thing to do. In practice, it didn't work because he's just too strong. But that tactics, like I said earlier, can never overcome, legs, right? Legs always win. So tactics are always, minimizing your weaknesses or optimizing your strengths. So there I was minimizing my weakness. So now we're just coming out of the sprints, and I probably started sprinting a little bit late because I actually did a fairly good sprint here. And yeah, I think I got third in the sprint. So tactics, there's the tactics, right? So what were the tactics in this race? Well, I think we've got the number one Swifter in the world, so tactics can only take you so far against a guy like that. So I tried to be aggressive, get ahead of the move. When that didn't work, the only other tactic was I'm surrounded by teammates. So my tactic there was to play them off each other and counter moves, and that's what I did. The only move I didn't counter was my friend Robin, and that was intentional. I could have countered that, but if I had have countered that, I would have been countered again, and then we just would have been in the same place. And like I said, I'd rather Robin win than those other guys. Other guys. Wins, get second place because, Lyson won. So that's how it played out. So the only thing I really, and again, this is not tactics, but when I sprinted, I probably sprinted a bit late, and that stopped me from having any potential to win that sprint because those guys are all good sprinters, and for me to beat them, I have to play that sprint perfectly, which I didn't. But that's life. It's only Swift, and who cares? Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit with the tactics that I'm looking at in the race. So I think be aggressive, but don't be dumb. Take your opportunities. The other thing with Swift, just look at what's happening. Like, look at that on the right-hand side, look at other riders. if they had this thing in real life cycling where you could see everybody's power and just go, oh well, he's about to go, it's kind of a cheat, right? So use it, right? Like, if you see a guy winding it up, start winding it up, right? Because otherwise you're going to be on the back foot, and sometimes that could get you basically a free ride to a breakaway. Yeah, and other than that, Swift is pretty punchy, so you got to do your intervals. You got to work on your sprint. So I would do 1 day of sprinting every week, and I would do some weightlifting if you're primarily a Swifter. And then I do a lot of, and this is this is a hilarious thing because I don't do any of this. Well, I do lift weights a bit, but I would do a lot of 1 minute aerobic efforts, and those ones are like, you do 1 minute full gas, 10-minute recovery. Like this is not, this is pure anaerobic capacity. It's not VO2 stuff, right? So it's, you want full recovery on it. It's like, you do a full effort, 1 minute effort, and then you fully recover and you do, 5, 6, 7 of those. That really is what Swift racing is about, is that 1 to 5 minute effort. Most of the time it's, if you look at the actual effort profile, there are a lot of the times you're just doing 30-second, 1 minute efforts. So I'd work on that. Other than that, that's all I got to say for today. So thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.